There is a moment in Breaking Bad when Walter White collapses to his knees in the desert. The camera holds on him just long enough for us to feel the full weight of what's happened, not just in that moment, but over the past 5 seasons. And in that collapse lies the essence of why this episode is considered by many to be the greatest single hour of television. You know, it's not just that shocking things happen. I think it's also the way those moments are built and delivered. Is the way the episode leaves no space to breathe, no safe harbor for the audience to retreat to. And over the next few minutes, I want to break down the 5 reasons why Ozymandias is not just a good episode, it is a once-in-a-generation piece of storytelling. Like always, this video is going to contain spoilers for the entirety of Breaking Bad. First of all, the episode wastes no time in shattering any lingering sense of stability. From its opening gunfire in the desert, the audience is thrown into a situation with no escape routes, not for the characters, and not for us. Hank's fate is sealed before the first act ends, and it's executed with a kind of cold inevitability that only makes it more painful. There's no last-minute rescue, no twist that saves him. Walt leads, bargains, offers every cent he's ever made, and it changes nothing. Hank's final words are calm, resolute, and devastating. And yet, this is only the first blow. What follows is an emotional freefall. Jesse is dragged from hiding, beaten and chained, and we realize his nightmare is not over. Walt returns home, only for the domestic front to implode in an almost Shakespearean display of betrayal, rage, and desperation. By the time the knife fight happens, the family we've been watching for 5 seasons is gone, replaced by people we barely recognize. The relentlessness is the point. Ozymandias refuses to let us recover before hitting us again. Ozymandias is what happens when a story keeps its promises. Every lie Walt told to protect his pride, every line he crossed in the name of providing for his family, every time he underestimated the human cost, everything collides here. Take Hank's execution. It's not just a loss for Walt, no. This is the direct result of choices stretching back years. Cooking meth in the first place, bringing Jesse in, trusting the wrong people. When Jack pulls the trigger, it is not a random act of cruelty. It is the inevitable endpoint of the road Walt chose. Even smaller details echo past moments. Skyler's confrontation with Walt mirrors their earlier arguments, but without any of the old subtext. She is no longer trying to understand him, she is fighting for survival, and Walt Jr.'s sudden, gut-wrenching rejection of his father is the final breaking of a bond that has been under silent strain for years. Every payoff in Ozymandias feels earned because the seeds were planted long before. From there, the pacing is unrelenting. Each scene bleeds directly into the next. The story never stops to explain itself, yet we never feel lost. It is a single sustained escalation. Even in the quieter moments, the tension hums beneath the surface. The knife fight does not feel like a sudden burst of violence. It feels like the only place this trajectory could end up. And when Walt kidnaps Holly, the horror somehow peaks again, not through spectacle, but through the unbearable intimacy of that act. And what would be this episode without peak performances from the cast? Bryan Cranston's performance in Ozymandias is volcanic. We see every layers of Walt's persona: the manipulative schemer, the desperate family man, the wounded ego, flicker in and out, sometimes within a single breath. Anna Gunn's Skyler is equally magnetic. Her voice trembles not from fear, but from a raw, adrenalized determination to protect her son. Her face in the aftermath of the night fight is a masterclass in silent acting, the realization of what her life has become. Dean Norris Hank, even in his final moments, radiates moral clarity. He's a man who knows exactly who he is, and that certainty makes his death hit harder. And Aaron Paul, his performance turns Jesse's suffering into something almost impossible to watch. Rian Johnson directs Ozymandias like a war photographer documenting a battlefield. The chaos is always clear. The violence is brutal, but never exploitative. He knows when to pull back and when to hold the shot just long enough for the horror to sink in. Moira Wallet-Beckett's scripts is stripped of fat. Every word serves a purpose. The dialogue feels like it's been boiled down to its purest form, allowing silence to carry much of the emotional load. The flashback bookend structure is not just clever, it's devastating, framing the entire story as a tragedy that was inevitable from the very first cook. The title is not just a nod to Percy Bysshe Shelley's poem, it is a thesis, the thesis of the entire series condensed into a single hour. In the poem, a ruined statue in the desert is all that remains of a once great king, a reminder that power is fleeting and ego crumbles into dust. Here, Walt's empire collapses in real time. All his money, his dominance, his careful image reduced to ash in the span of a day. He becomes exactly what the poem warns about, a monument to nothing. When people call Ozymandias the greatest episode of television ever made, they're not just talking about plot twists or jaw-dropping moments. They're talking about the rare alignment of every storytelling element, writing, direction, performance, pacing, all firing at their highest possible level. It is an episode that does not simply tell a story, but concludes one with ruthless honesty. It refuses to give us catharsis or comfort, because the world it depicts no longer has space for either. And here's the thing, you don't have to agree with my claim, but the world seems to agree. Amazingly enough, Ozymandias remains the only episode of any TV series ever to hold a perfect 10 out of 10 rating on IMDb, with over 257,000 reviews. A rare consensus that reflects just how deeply this episode resonated with audiences. And that's why Ozymandias is not just a standout in Breaking Bad. It is the episode that proves television, at its best, can rival and even surpass the power of cinema.